I made a Dominican Republic travel tips video for 2025. But now that I've lived here another year longer, I've seen some struggles people have when they visit and realize I left out some pretty important stuff. So these are 12 mistakes I see travelers making coming to the Dominican Republic in 2026 that you can avoid. Let's jump in. The first mistake is coming down here without travel health insurance. There are decent private hospitals down here in DR. Heck, I just went to one because of a cut on my head I suffered right here after going to the gym and nailing my head on one of the machines. Stupid. But the number one priority for all of these clinics, private or public, is how do they get paid? If you're showing up with some U.S. insurance card, that ain't gonna fly. And God forbid you have a really, really bad incident like this young man from Canada. You wanna make sure that it's really easy for them, the hospital, to know they're gonna get paid. And or, if you have the same struggle with that whole process, at least you're gonna get reimbursed later if you're forced to put a lot of money out of pocket up front. Honestly, travel insurance, no matter where you go, is smart to have. Living locally, I have a plan locally. I also have a plan in the United States in case I wanna go back and treat for anything there. But travel plans are super good to have. You can buy them for the week, you can buy them on a monthly basis, you can buy them for an entire year no matter where you travel if you travel a bunch. Now, in my last video, I said, hey, maybe here are some options, but since then I've gotten better. I found a guy I use for my property insurance, for my health insurance, for my car insurance, and for our travel health plan that we use if we travel abroad. His name is Victor, and if you go to drexpatinsurance.com or down in the description, go to my referrals page, and you can get set up for travel insurance while you're here in DR. Mistake number 2 is probably a little overblown, but hey, I'll explain it anyway, since a lot of people have this concern. If you have 2 travelers, check 2 bags, not 1. Now, to be clear, this isn't a Dominican Republic specific thing. This is an international travel, no matter where you go, potential thing. But on the order of the millions and millions and millions of people that travel every year, we might be in the place of like a dozen to 20 worldwide have this issue. But still, if you have 2 people with 1 checked bag, that means that if a gate attendant anywhere in the world wanted to, on behalf of, say, an operation that's below board, get a bag full of drugs or other paraphernalia from point A where they are to point B where you might be going, they can easily print a second slip, stick it on a second bag that's not yours with your name on it, and if in the new country when you arrive, they catch it, it's on you. Again, I don't see this being a big deal, but there was this story earlier in the year of a guy named David Bennett, where I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but could have. So again, you're traveling to Italy, Dominican Republic, Mexico, or Dubai. I just think it's good practice. Mistake 3 is not completing the Dominican Republic e-ticket before you get to the airport. This could just be a pain in the ass once you get to the airport to leave the US or Canada if you don't have the e-ticket completed. And there's not great communication with all airlines that you actually need to do it. In fact, the term e-ticket makes you think like my e-ticket, like a ticket to get on the plane, my boarding pass. But it's actually a form you need to fill out before you enter the Dominican Republic. And when you get to the airport in the US or Canada, the gate attendant will make sure that it's completed. They want to see it. It's a QR code essentially that they need to see that you've completed. And it's way easier if you just do it at home the night before. I think you have to do it within 2 or 3 days, no more, of travel, so you can't do it like months in advance. And to be honest with you, nobody's going to look at it once you get to DR. It's not like you need to show it to somebody once you get here. But it's a requirement for DR. It's enforced wherever you're coming from. And I think it's more so DR has some tracking around why are you visiting, where are you visiting, and so on. But do it at home, screenshot it. It looks just like this one here. This is one of my old ones. And just avoid the airport stress. Now again, down in the description, there's a link. I think it's jamiegruber.com/referrals. Has all of my referral network, including the insurance guy, but as importantly, it has the e-ticket form in there as well, which is always free. There have been scams where it looks just like the exact same page and they charge you $29.95 or $19.95. You never, ever, ever pay for the e-ticket. It's always free and you always have it down here below if you need it. Going kite surfing. Mistake number 4, and this is all before you've even left U.S. or Canadian or European soil, is not calling your cell provider before you come. Now look, living here, I have Verizon from the United States, and I have the all things, everything plan or whatever, which says, oh, you have calling internationally and texting and a certain amount of data and all of that. And many of my friends do too with AT&T or T-Mobile or whomever. However, often when you get here, still, for whatever reason, the data doesn't connect. It takes a call to Verizon or AT&T to say, hey, I'm in the Dominican Republic for the week, for them to somehow activate it. Again, you may have never had a problem with this. And if you did, great. But there are people that do. So I would just suggest call your carrier, tell them where you're going to be, have them assure you that the data will connect when you get here. And the reason for that is everything here runs on WhatsApp. So make sure you have that app as well. But if you have a driver, if you've got the hotel that you're talking to, or if you have relationships in the Dominican Republic and you want to message people, short of finding Wi-Fi that's reliable, which you can, it's all over the place, I would call your cell provider to make sure you have data. All right, so you get to the Dominican Republic, don't make mistake number 5, and that is assuming all-inclusive is all there is. All-inclusives are easy, I get it. You go there, you pay one price. mean, it's understandable. I've been to many all-inclusives. I'm even a travel club member with the Palladium group because we used to go to so many all-inclusives. But boy, the Dominican Republic has become a place well beyond just those all-inclusive resorts you hear so much about. It's really simple. Go to Airbnb, find a place wherever you're traveling to, Punta Cana, Puerto Plata, whatever, and try staying off the resort. Here are some of the perks of that. Number one, you can get good food. Most resort food. Other than one, I will say it out loud, the Hyatt Ziva and Zilara, that is actually good all-inclusive food. But every other resort I've ever stayed at, the food is middle at best. What do they say, kids? Mid at best. Per the Gen Z, Gen Alpha, whatever the hell they are. My kids, mid. My 10-year-old says this stuff. Sus. Crazy. But imagine instead you've got a cook/cleaning person staying at the house in the maid's quarters, making you fresh, real food. You have your own space, and you can enjoy more than just sitting somewhere in a resort and doing the same thing over and over again, drinking way too many drinks, eating way too much bad food. Airbnb is very affordable here. I would always recommend going to guest favorite options for hosts, like a super host, but you can do it. Even if it means you do a hybrid. You're going to be here for 7 days. Do 4 days at the resort and 3 days at an Airbnb. Off property, you can go to so many places without paying exorbitant prices for excursions at the resort. You can just go direct to them. One of my favorites here is Ojos Indígenas. It looks just like this. All these cenotes and natural pools, especially when it's hot out like it is right now. It's a nice dip in some cold water, and it's a beautiful, beautiful environment. Now, of course, you want to get around while you're here, and you can do that with Uber for sure, but maybe you want to rent a car, and mistake 6 is this, renting a car without proper coverage. It's really, really tempting to get the $10 a day rental that you found online from some little local rinky-dink rental place. For the first 2 years here, we had one car because we only stayed kind of local. We live in a very walkable area for our family, our kids' school, everything is within walking distance. So whenever I needed to leave the area, I would just rent a car, and every time I would go to the airport rent-a-center. I rent from National. That's kind of my go-to. I have no relationship with them other than I use them a lot. Or Hertz or Avis. Not saying they're going to give you the best service or whatever, but when it comes down to when you need them, you want the national rental car companies. My wife rented a car for a girls' weekend up in an area called Las Terrenas, which is up in Samana Peninsula. You can see it right here up on the map. And while there, she got rear-ended by one of these side-by-sides. Very simple because it was national. She was able to make a call, get everything taken care of, and no problem. Got back and handed the car in, no issues. But from a standpoint of roadside or just insurance coverage, I say go with the big boy, spend a little bit of extra money, and buy the local insurance. Look, your credit card company will probably cover the rental car itself, but liability does not transfer from your whatever policy, credit card or otherwise, to a rental car. So you'll want to buy that supplemental liability coverage. But even more than that is a coverage or an option on the contract you want called Casa de Conductor. This is essentially what that means. In the worst of circumstances where you get into an accident with a motorcycle and they die or get badly injured, you'll be detained by the police while they investigate. You could be detained at the police station, or you could be detained at what essentially is an air-conditioned hotel, Casa de Conductor. Again, unlikely, but just want to be safe, right? So ask the rental car company if they provide coverage for that. But also know this, Casa de Conductor is actually a place, casa, a house, a hotel. And they don't have them everywhere in the country. They have them in certain spots, but again, I'd rather know that I have that option than not. Outside of that, if you're in a real bind, you can get an attorney down here. That referral link again below. My attorney's in there. He's my real estate attorney, but he's helped me in car accidents and a bunch of other stuff. So if you ever needed a referral, there's one for you. All right, mistake number 7. This is my favorite mistake, and that is coming only to stay at places everybody knows. I'm going to give you a list of 5 different places that are way lesser known, or maybe even completely unknown, that you should absolutely consider traveling to, even if it means you have to take a bit of a ride there. But if you're the type of person who likes to be kind of cutting edge, out in front before anybody else gets there, to be able to go home and tell the story of the secret find or the place that you never heard about, and neither did they, here's a few. Up on the North Shore is the town of Rio San Juan. Go to Playa Grande, go to Playa Precioso, and check out Laguna Grigri. That's Grigri. Really cool. Up in Miches, go to Playa Esmeralda. Stay at a place like Zemi or Dreams. Miches is just a beautiful drive from Punta Cana, about an hour and a half away. Rio San Juan, by the way, is about an hour, 2-hour drive from Puerto Plata Airport. Another spot is Bayaibe. There's only about 45 minutes from Punta Cana. It's right near the city of La Romana, and there's a ton of stuff happening there right now. It's growing like a weed. Beautiful beaches. Check that out. Another one way on the south, you'd fly into Santo Domingo and then take a few-hour drive, is called Barahona. This area is really new and growing fast, and there will be a lot there in the next 5 to 7 years. And if you go this year, you'll be one of the first in your state, I promise. And the last one is sort of not what you'd expect, but it's a place called Jarabacoa or Constanza. Either of those are 2 mountain towns right in the middle of the country. Absolutely beautiful. But look, these areas are just less crowded. They might be more authentic, and they're great value plays as far as the cost to stay there. So I'd suggest getting out, renting that car, and checking some things out. Quick side note, if you're traveling down to the Dominican Republic in 2026 and you're a content creator or business owner, Maybe you host a podcast, or you just want professional photos or video done for your family, for your Christmas photos, or whatever it might be. There's a studio in Punta Cana called Jeffers Studios. I actually own it, along with the key partner and lead partner. His name is Eric. But at Jeffers, we do everything that you could possibly want. Photos, content, video shoots. We have a podcast studio. In fact, I go live every Friday here on this channel in the podcast studio. You can see it right here. And it's built for anybody, whether you're traveling here to the country or you're local. So check it out. Here's the WhatsApp number right here. Just message Eric. Let him know you saw this video, and he'll make sure to give you a special price as a result. All right, mistake number 8 is trying to plan too much around seaweed season. If you're not familiar, there's this seaweed that hits Mexico and Jamaica and the Dominican Republic called sargassum. It doesn't hit everywhere, but it hits in some places. And knowing where to go and how to go would be really smart. To be clear, this is a problem from like June through October. June through October is probably the right timeline, where it's at its peak. And every year it might be higher or lower. It really depends. But if you want to avoid that altogether, here's a few ways to do that as we speak in 2026. Not forever, but in 2026. Number 1 is head to the north. This could either be the North Coast, Rio San Juan, Puerto Plata, Cabarete, Sosua, or a little further to the east on the North Coast, which is Samaná Peninsula, Las Terrenas, Las Carreras. Now, don't get me wrong. Those folks up there will tell you, oh, we never have a sargassum problem. We never will. And that's not true. Samaná got a little bit this past year for the first time, and it's likely to go in all places around, and there's a lot of effort to sort of mitigate and make sure it doesn't attack the shores in as much volume as it has in the past few years. More to come on that, but for 2026, you should be pretty good if you decide to go to the North Shore. Another spot I mentioned is Bahia. Just the way the patterns flow right now, it kind of goes right by. And Bahia is also protected by an island called Saona, and I think, this is just my take, that a lot of that sargassum may hit the backside of Saona and not come to the shores of Bahia, so you'll get clean beaches there. Also in Punta Cana, if you go further north in Punta Cana, like Macau and up into Miches, like those areas tend not to get too bad a sargassum, but like Cortecito Beach, south all the way through Cap Cana, yeah, you're going to deal with it. Some areas handle it better, like where I am right now. This is Playa Blanca. This is kind of my home beach, the most local to me that I come to all the time because it's amazing. But they have really good mitigation technology here for the seaweed, but even still, it's a lot. And the further north you are, the better in the months that I mentioned. But again, the other part is skip this altogether, the beach area. Go in the summer instead to Jarabacoa or Constanza. Stay at a place called the Domes. I mean, check these out. These are beautiful. It's my favorite place to go in the mountains. You won't regret it at all. And if you go there and you meet the owner, Johan, tell him to send a video of you to me on WhatsApp and I'll reply with my own video greeting back. Jarabacoa also has 2 restaurants where the chefs worked in Michelin star restaurants in the past. Hibiscus and a place called El Balcon. Hibiscus, the lady Maria Marte is Dominican. Balcon, the gentleman, is a New Yorker. His wife's Dominican. They moved down here a few years ago. And it is gorgeous there. I mean, check this out. Nice, huh? So if you're worried about the seaweed season, those are some ways to get around it. All right, mistake number 9 will cost you money, and that is when you pay with a U.S. card in U.S. dollars. In 2025 and going into 2026, the little Verifone, the credit card taker thing is everywhere. I mean, street vendors have it now. When I moved here just in 2022, not that long ago, nowhere near as many people had the ability to take credit cards. It's very, very prevalent. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have some cash on you because there are some small spots that don't take it, but a lot of people, to a surprising degree when you see it, take credit cards. Now, if you're using a U.S. credit card, use one, of course, that doesn't have international fees. My go-to is the Marriott Bonvoy Chase card, but there are many others that are really good. Just do the research. Some of the ones you have in your wallet right now probably don't have international fees. But when you charge, you may see the option. You want to pay in DOP, Dominican Pesos, or in USD, US dollars. Check out this video. I'll put the highlights up right here. When I did this at a grocery store and showed by selecting Dominican Pesos, it actually saved me money because the vendor, the store, is going to give you a way worse conversion than Chase Bank or whatever bank you're using for your credit card. I've had situations where I've saved as much as $20 by simply selecting Dominican Pesos on a transaction instead of US dollars. Now, what I would also do is bring US dollars in small denominations, $1, $5, $10 max. And if you're coming for a week, $300 to $400 worth of that is perfect. Which brings me to mistake number 10, which is not asking for a receipt. Now, if you're using your iPhone or phone to use Apple Pay, the receipt usually pops up on screen, and that's fine. But you're only going to see how much you were charged. You won't see whether or not you were charged the right amount. Now, I don't think this is even a nefarious thing in all cases. In some, sure. I mean, somebody might say, oh, it's 1,700 pesos, and they charge 1,900 on your card, and you don't know because you don't have a receipt. But I think in a lot of cases, it's just like they have to type it in, right? It's not the same system as you'll see. The cash register is one thing, and then they have have to type in the amount into a credit card machine to charge you. And that little move could be an extra digit or the wrong digit or a fat finger or whatever. It's happened to me at the gas station. Some might say, oh, well, yeah, they tried to get you. Like, no, I go to this gas station all the time. They always charge me right. But one time the guy transposed the numbers. Instead of 13, he did 31. That's a 2,000 peso difference. It's like $40. And he fixed it right away when I showed it to him. But without the receipt, you won't know. So when they ask you if you want Factura or una copia, say yes. Sí. Por favor. And just double check it. Look for context. If you feel like it's rude to look it over, it's not. I go to the store all the time here, and even if I buy something as simple as a light fixture, they take it out of the box and test it for me right there at the store because I'm not allowed to return it. That's just the thing here. You don't return and get your money back. I can get store credit, but they want to make sure that when you left the store, they prove to you that the product worked. So you can't come back and say it didn't. So on the other end, if you're reading the receipt and making sure it's all legit, no one's going to be offended or insulted by that. It's not the lifestyle here. Offense is a US, Canadian, European thing. People here don't get offended. They just don't. Which takes me to mistake number 11. Please don't treat your tipping like it's life-changing for a local. I've seen this happen so many times. People make these little, stupid jokes like, oh, I just gave him $5. Probably paid for his kid's college education. And I know they're being facetious or whatever, and I'm being the offended American on this on behalf of these folks who aren't offended. But it's more just annoying. Know this. Dominican Republic has come a long way in the last few years, and there are a lot of people that are convinced you that it's so cheap down here. That's an older narrative than is real in 2025. And especially going into 2026. Your $2 to $3 tip is great. It helps. But giving a guy a $10 tip at the beginning of the week and thinking he's going to do anything I want for him all week as my bartender, he's just going to do anything you want for him because he's a nice guy and Dominicans are good people. Your $10 didn't change his life. On the flip side of that, giving him 50 cents US isn't adjusted gratitude on your behalf. Tip. Tip how you would at home when you're here on vacation. If you live here, it's a completely different bag because you can be tipped out of your entire wallet. But if you're down here, tip the driver that took you to the resort or the Airbnb. Tip the guy that brought the bags to your room. Give him some money. Tip like you want to tip. Don't play this I don't know, isn't $1 really good here? Just don't. It's not. Which takes me to the final mistake people make when they come down here, and that is they limit themselves to just a 1-week stay. Here's the beauty of DR. You could stay here as long as you want with a US, Canadian, or European passport. If you've got the ability to work remotely for a few weeks, or you're hearing all the stuff I'm talking about, oh my God, the mountains, the North Shore, Punta Cana, the city, we haven't even talked about Santo Domingo and Santiago. That's in my last video. But there's so many places to see here, and if you got the ability to stay 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks, do it. All that happens is this. When you leave after being here 30 days, they're going to charge you $60 per person at the airport. That's it. And it goes up from there. After 90 days, I think it's $100 per person, and it goes up and up and up. They post it right at the airport. There's no consequence for it. You're not barred from coming back. It's a money grab for the government and a smart one if you stay longer than 30 days, which is the quote-unquote visa. But there are many people, including this guy, who live in the Dominican Republic full-time, who bought a house, a well over $500,000 house, which is more than enough to get me citizenship, who's been married to a Dominican woman for 16 years when you only need 2 to get Dominican citizenship, who's lived here physically for 3 years, another path to Dominican citizenship, or at least residency, and we don't have any of it. No paperwork. I'm not celebrating that. I just have to if they make it too easy, I have to get off my butt, go get fingerprinted for the US to kind of process it and get my residency and eventually citizenship because I want the passport. I'm a believer in more passports, despite what the guy in Ohio wants to do by getting rid of dual citizenship. That ain't happening. Other videos on my channel explain why, but it's super, super simple to stay a long time. If you're down here spending money, paying the tax, which is 18%, that's the sales tax essentially, the VAT tax, the value add tax, you're adding to the local economy. Just tip well. Don't be a jerk. Don't litter. Respect local customs. Don't be a moron in line when they take way too long, and they do. It's slow here. Service is slow. But stick around. Check it out. Go all the way around the country. Rent a car for a month and a half. It'll be a lot of fun. You gotta trust me on that. Look, if this is helpful for you, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button. Know that most people have an amazing time here. We have 12 million visitors and 11,999,000 of them go home without any issue whatsoever. But these are going to give you a leg up and are going to give you a stress-free experience from the time you leave your house to the time you get back to it, if you follow what this bald head had to say. You might be wondering more about some of the areas to visit or some other travel tips that I may have shared in the past, and I would wonder about that too. So tap this video right here and it'll go to my 2025 video and give you everything you need, which this video builds upon. And I will see you on the next one.